Proverbs 31, verse 3, give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to which destroy kings. First of all, I want to say, call Allah, all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And I want to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect out there. So, mainly speaking to the Akim, this lesson about not giving your strength unto women, and to not let the woman rule over you. You should be ruling over the woman because that's how Yahweh Shai set it up. That's the order. And the men should be above ruling and leading their women and not the other way around. Because men and women are not equal as, society wants you to believe. In the scriptures, it says that men lord over women. Women were created to be ruled. And women were created to be servants unto men. That's their purpose. And if you give them positions of power, women are gonna, abuse it. And because it's not in their nature to be just, it says in scriptures they are the weaker vessel. So they don't care about being upright or being moral. She's only going to be upright and moral if the man she's dealing with is upright and moral and, being a man and leading her to righteousness. So that's why it says don't give your strength unto women, because it's going to destroys kings. We've seen it happen. Example is King Solomon, King David, Samson, all these examples in the scriptures tells you why not to give your strength unto women or not to give them positions of powers, because we can see what happens in society right now in front of us. That's the main example. Society is all upside down now since that, women have power and are in powerful positions and leadership positions, and it says in scriptures that a woman will encompass a man, will be better than a man at the end days, in the latter days. 1 Corinthians 11:3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is a Mashiach, and the head of the women is the man, and the head of Mashiach is Yahweh, power Yahweh. So this is the order: Yahweh, then Yahweh Shai, then the Israelite man, then the Israelite woman. That's the order, But, society has it all backwards. They put the woman above the man. That's why there's so many dysfunctional families, especially in our own people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, the chosen people of Yahweh Shem Shai, especially our own people, because of the curses in Deuteronomy we're going through, 1 Timothy 2, verse 11. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. So it says in the scriptures that the woman is supposed to learn in silence in all subjection, and to not usurp their authority over their man or over any man in general. A woman in the scriptures, a woman can't even usurp authority over any man, like over any random man, over any civilian man. Women were subject to all men back in the ancient world. But now, it's different in this society because the society is wicked. Babylon, the Great America, and the whole world is now wicked because they're fornicating with Babylon the Great and learning the ways of Babylon the Great, aka America. Continuing, verse 13, for Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in transgression. So Adam, the Yahweh Shai made men to be leaders and not followers. So Adam, it was impossible for Adam to be deceived by by the man, because really the serpent. The serpent was really a man, not a talking snake, as the so-called Christians will want you to believe, bugged out doctrines want you to believe. It was a man that deceived Eve, you know. But Adam was deceived by the man because Yahweh Shah made him stronger than the woman. As says the scriptures, the woman is the weaker vessel. So the woman is more likely to follow in the ways of wickedness than the ways of righteousness, because the serpent, the man, was able to deceive Eve by having the words as smooth as butter, as it says in the scriptures. But ultimately, it was a lie. 1 Peter 3, verse 7, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. So it even says in the scriptures that the woman is the weaker vessel, and we're going to go into what weak means. When people think of weak, they think physically weak for the first, they think physically weak at the first thought, but really weak can also mean this, also lacking moral strength, lacking morals, weak. That's why Eve was able to be deceived by the serpent, because she was morally weak. She didn't have Yahweh Shema Shai didn't create the woman to have strong morals in the first place. So they need a man to lead over them to enforce those strong morals, because Yahweh Shema Shai made the man to have the strong morals in the first place to lead over the woman. This is Ecclesiastes 7, verse 28. This is King Solomon speaking. King James Bible version. Which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those I have not found. I'm going to the NIV, New International Version. While I was still searching, but not finding, I found one upright man among 1,000, but not one upright woman among them all. New Living Translation. Though I have searched repeatedly, I have not found what I was looking for. Only one out of 1,000 men is virtuous, but not one woman. So King Solomon, all his days of living, he could find one righteous man out of the thousands, but he couldn't find one single woman that was righteous among them all. That just tells you how wicked a woman's nature is at the core, if they're not in the truth. Obviously there's righteous women out there, but that's very few, and as it says in scriptures, a righteous woman's price is far worth more than rubies. I'm going to get that precept. Proverbs 31, verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. And it really is, because nowadays in this society, in Babylon the Great especially, with social media, technology, all that, basically it's an impossible task to find a virtuous woman on your own human will. The only way you're going to get a virtuous woman is if Yahweh Shem Shai gives you that virtuous woman as a gift. Getting a virtuous woman in this day and age, or even since the beginning of time, is a gift from Yahweh Shem Shai. Because, as it says in scriptures, who can find a virtuous woman? Her price is far above rubies. It surely is, because it's like all women are the same thing, the same script of wickedness, Their wicked ways, women love wickedness, especially now that they're in power positions. They're exploiting the wickedness and abusing the wickedness so much more that now, Yahweh Shem Shai, he's gonna come visit them, This is Amos 7, verse 17. Therefore, thus said the Lord Yahweh, thy wife shall be an harlot in the city, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword, and thy land shall be divided by a line, and thou shalt die in a polluted land, and Israel shall surely go into captivity forth of his land. So Yahweh Shem Shai, tells the nation of Israel that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, that our women are to be harlots, and that's what we see today in Babylon the Great America, even all around the world, to be honest. But it's not as bad as Babylon the Great America. There's harlots everywhere in the world, but in Babylon the Great, that's that's harlot central, for real. If you're trying to find a righteous, virtuous woman in Babylon the Great, hey, good luck to you. Like at that point, hey, man, that's like an impossible task to do it in Babylon the Great. All this wickedness that's being promoted in Babylon the Great America. You can have your chances overseas, but still, Yahweh Shem Shai needs to be with you, and he needs to gift you that virtuous woman. Because if it's not of Yahweh Shem Shai, you're always going to be finding a harlot instead. That's just the curses that we're going through as the nation of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. But now the rest of the world are going through the curses of that as well. There are women being harlots as well. It's affecting the entire world because, as it says in, I think Deuteronomy 30, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in Deuteronomy 30 that the curses will reverse upon our enemies at the end. So now their women are being harlots, and it's affecting the heathen nations, because the curses are come upon the heathen nations because the Israelites are at the end of their captivity, and, Yahweh Shai is about to return with his kingdom. Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 25, verse 21. Stumble not at the beauty of a woman and desire her not for pleasure. So we're not, as men, we're not supposed to be knocked off our square or caught off guard by a woman's beauty, because there's beautiful women everywhere. Well, you can't be caught off guard by the outside layer. You need to see it for what it is. Who she is on the inside. On the outside she may look great. On the outside, but on the inside, is she correct on the inside? Is her, judgment on the inside correct? Is her ways on the inside correct? Is her spirit correct? Is her mental correct? That's what you need to be looking at more than her beauty. I want to go into Proverbs 11, verse 22. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman which is without discretion. So a pig with a jewel in the pig's nose is like a beautiful woman that is without judgment. Basically saying a woman can be beautiful on the outside, but if she doesn't have the right person leading her to lead her into righteousness, then it's just gonna be a beautiful woman that's wicked. That's really it. It's a beautiful woman that's wicked, that was taught to be wicked, growing up. On the outside she looks great, but on the inside, she's like a pig. She's an abomination. She's a wicked woman. And as men, you gotta lead, you gotta vet to see if that woman is good on the inside as well, and not on just the outside. Because what it means by fair means beautiful or attractive. You can look up the word fair on the enema line to find that definition. But yeah, when you see a woman on the outside, don't be stumbled by her beauty, but examine her brain, examine her spirit to see if she's even worth dealing with, in the first place. Okay, back to Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, verse 25, chapter 25, verse 22. A woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. So if a woman is leading a man in a relationship, that woman won't respect her man because she's leading in the relationship. The man's supposed to be the head and lead the woman. So if a woman is maintaining her man and leading her man, she's not built for that. Yahweh Shema Shai didn't build a woman to be in a leadership position, because being a leader, it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of analytical thinking. Yahweh Shema Shai didn't create a woman to analytically think, 24/7. But Yahweh Hashem Shai created a man to analytically think 24/7. So a woman's gonna get disrespectful, do what she wants, be promiscuous, dress how she wants. It's just continually disrespecting the man that she has power over, because ultimately no woman on earth wants to be in a power position, because there's a lot of responsibility. The only women that want to be in power positions are the ones who are wicked. 23. A wicked woman abated the courage, make it an heavy countenance and a wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress, make it weak hands and feeble knees. Yeah, a wicked woman will destroy a husband's courage, will destroy the husband's ego and self-esteem. That's why you gotta be careful and vet the women. You Akim, you gotta vet the women that surround you in your life. You gotta vet them. And you Akwat, you gotta, vet the man as well. If he's a righteous man, and if he's a leader, if he's a man that Yahweh Shai wants to be with. Akim and Akwat, you both gotta vet, people that are coming into your lives. When we go to verse 24, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Give the water no passage, not a wicked woman liberty to guide abroad. So you're not supposed to give a wicked woman freedom, because if you give a wicked woman freedom, she's going to go around the city, go around the block. That's how diseases spread. And that's how, people die and get sick, by letting a wicked woman, go around. Verse 26, if she go not as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh and give her a bill of divorce and let her go. So if any of you Akim are out there with a woman that's not following what you're laying down, if she's not on your program, then give her walking papers and let her walk. And, you do you, Akim. It's really that simple. If a woman's not following you, give her walking papers, let her go. And, focus on Yahweh Shem Shai even more. With that, I want to say, call Allah, all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. I want to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Lord willingly, I pray that was an edifying lesson. And with that, I want to say shalom.